Have you ever missed a shot in your game where right after the miss, you look at your paddle and you do a few shadow swings with your paddle, attempting to correct your technique and hoping that you won't miss the same shot again the next time? In those moments, you are probably thinking to yourself you knew exactly why you missed a shot, but the reality is, a lot of the time, you probably have no idea why you missed the shot and how you could potentially fix it. Why do I say this? Because in the past 2 years of my pickleball journey, this is exactly what I just went through. In fact, by keep doing those shadow swings after my misses, it was actually hurting my games by masking the real reasons behind why I kept on missing those shots. So in this video, I'm going to share with you a few painful lessons that I've learned along the way that actually helped me miss less shots. And most of these have nothing to do with the actual techniques or strokes themselves. First, I'm going to show this short video that I recorded in May 2025 MLP Austin. This was a crazy point during the men's game between New Jersey Fives and Texas Rangers. The guys in white are the Fives. Now, in this 30-second clip, or a total of roughly 2,400 frames of still images, Will Howe took a total of 11 shots in this point, and Zane Navratil took a total of 6 shots, including the miss in the end. So that's 17 shots in total that Zane and Will took together. Every time the players hit the ball, it takes around 167 milliseconds on average to complete each shot. And to be more precise, each shot took around 10 frames of images to complete. So what does this actually mean? Well, in this 30-second clip containing 2,400 frames of images, only around 170 of those frames were Zane and Will actually striking the ball with the paddle. And that's around only 7% of that entire point. So for roughly 93% of the time during that point, Zane and Will were not even hitting the ball. They were just constantly moving and anticipating where the ball was going to go next. And this brings up the first painful lesson that I would like to share today. And that is, in pickleball game or in most racket sports, only a very small proportion of the time you're actually spending hitting the ball itself. For the vast majority of the time, you're actually just moving and preparing yourself to hit the next shot. And yet, a lot of us, myself included, spend disproportionate amount of time improving our techniques and strokes. In other words, you could spend a lot of time practicing your strokes and develop a perfect technique. However, if your footwork or your movement is not good enough to bring your body in position early enough to allow you to hit the ball with a good balance, then your perfect technique means absolutely nothing. And most of the misses that I observe between 3-0 to 4-5 are either due to 1. Poor footwork, 2. Poor positioning. And yet, when we miss their shots, our first instinct is to look down at our paddle and do a few shadow swings, which have absolutely nothing to do with the reason why we actually miss the shots a lot of the time. So later on, when I started focusing a lot more on developing my lower body movement and footwork during my practice games and drill sessions, that's when I noticed my consistency got a lot better. I started missing less shots. As a whole, my overall game got much better as well. Here's a very simple drill that I did frequently for a few months. It's a basic dinking drill, but the key thing I was trying to do during this drill was that I was intentionally being inefficient with my footwork. I was forcing myself to take many unnecessary small steps. This was a very good conditioning exercise for both my legs and my mind, letting me get used to being constantly on the move and prevents flat footing. I was also focusing on split stepping frequently during this drill, even though this was not necessary. Again, this was all for the purpose of conditioning and developing a habit. The nice thing about this drill was that it was combining the footwork drill with the dinking drill together into one exercise. So from a use of times perspective, this was really efficient. Just remember, 1% improvement to your footwork could lead to multiple % of improvement to your overall game. I started using ZAMST paddles back in March 2025. I witnessed how ZAMST continue to improve the quality and performance of their paddles over time, and my own game also improved with ZAMST paddles. The new ZAMST Cannon and the ZAMST Pro 4 series are amongst my personal favorites, and I have been using them in tournaments, drills, and lessons. Not only they come with the power and spin that's required in modern games, their large sweet spots make them very forgiving for players of all levels. What's even better is the fact that as of October 1st, 2025, both the ZAMST Cannon and the ZAMST Pro 4 Inferno are dual approved by both USAP and UPAA. You can use these paddles to play any amateur or pro tournaments. And the craziest thing is, if you use my discount code JUNG on the ZAMST website, you get a 15% discount on everything, which brings the ZAMST Cannon paddle down to just $92. And I challenge you to find another dual certified paddle on the market that plays as well as the ZAMST Cannon for less than $100. If you have more budget and would like to get your hands on a paddle that can rival any other paddle on the market right now for less than $200 using my discount code, and it's also dual certified, I highly recommend the ZAMST Pro 4 Inferno, and you'll love the sound of it hitting the ball. These paddles also come with a standard 1-year warranty for your peace of mind. Thank you, ZAMST, for supporting my journey. The second thing that really helped me become more consistent and miss less shots was actually as simple as just looking at the ball until I finished making contact with the ball. Quite often in the past, when I drop, drive, or when I dink a ball in the kitchen, I'll use my eyes to track the ball until right before the ball actually makes contact with my paddle, and then I'll take my eyes off of the ball and start looking in the direction of where I'm going to be heading that ball. At that point, I'm letting my intuition take over. And when I do that, I'm also introducing more errors and more variation to my shot. Now, on the slower balls, I could usually get away with those. Now, on the faster balls, the extra errors and variations that I was introducing was causing me to keep missing some of those balls that I should not be missing. So the key thing for me here was to make sure that I lock my eyes to the ball until I finish making contact with the ball. Do not trust my intuition, instead trust my own eyes. The third thing that really helped me become more consistent and miss less shots was developing the habit of minimizing unnecessary movement when I'm heading the ball, especially the movement of my head. What I found was that by keeping my head steady when I'm heading a shot, it allowed my eyes to track the ball more easily and more accurately. As a result, I was having a much easier time making good contact with the ball when I'm heading the shots. The other thing I found with all these extra unnecessary movement when I was heading my shots, it was actually making it harder for me to judge where and when my swing path was going to meet the ball, therefore causing me to miss more often. Again, this requires good footwork, because only with good enough footwork and movement, you can move your body to the strike position early enough, buys you time to slow down and remain steady as you wait to strike the ball that's coming towards you. However, there are times when this is not possible and you would be required to hit balls in a very awkward position with a lot of movement, and that is okay. If you learned something helpful in this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe. Also, if you have any other tips that helped you become more consistent as a player, feel free to share in the comments down below so others can learn from you too. This is John from Backpaddle Pickleball. I'll see you in the next video.